Chief complaint: I don't know why I'm here. History of present illness: 14 months in Braga, Nepal. Altitude 3,475 meters. No fixed return date. No treatment plan. Patient is a 66-year-old female, former professor of psychiatry, Harvard Medical School. She is alert and oriented. She is... Pause. She is me. I'm going to stop doing that now. The window in this room is not really a window. It's a hole in the stone wall with a pane of glass in a warped timber frame, and the frame has a gap at the lower left corner where the mountain comes in. Not metaphorically. The wind, the cold. At 5 in the morning, when the light on Annapurna 2 turns that particular color, not pink, not orange, something that has no adequate name, I remove the strip of yak wool felt I stuff into the gap each evening. Then I look at the mountain. Then I make tea. I still cannot drink without making a face after 14 months. If this were a patient, I'd flag the habituation failure. 420 exposures, anomalous data. I know, I can't stop. I was on the DSM-5 task force. I co-wrote the commentary on F41.1. That is not a boast. It is context for what happened in November 2022 when I opened the DSM-5 TR to F41.1 and read the diagnostic criteria one by one and counted, and stopped when I reached 5. That was the first time in 34 years I had applied the method to myself. Not explicitly before, not once. The exemption wasn't a decision, it was structural. Observer, not subject. The one who builds the differential, not the one it's built about. I inhabited that exemption so completely that its absence only became visible standing at a sink in a fluorescent bathroom, looking at my own hands for 11 minutes. The thought I actually had, before the professional frame could organize it, was, whose hands are these? Not metaphorically, just a moment of genuine not knowing. You build a differential the way you build any serious investigation. Start with the worst thing it could be. Rule outward. You're not looking for the right answer. You're looking for what survives elimination. I taught this for over 2 decades. I believed it. I built my clinical practice on it. In 34 years, building differentials on approximately 4,000 patients, I never once ran one on myself. I had published 3 papers on the failure of self-assessment in clinicians, 3 separate papers, 3 separate data sets, all converging on the same finding. Clinicians are systematically worse at assessing their own functioning than lay populations. I wrote the papers. I was persuasive, and still. I assumed I was outside the population. The Grant Review Committee meeting was November 2022. A $2.4 million proposal from Professor Amara Osei at Yale, longitudinal study on psilocybin-assisted therapy in complicated grief. Her preliminary data was some of the most compelling I had seen in years. The methodology was rigorous. The clinical rationale was the kind of work I would have written in 1991 if I'd had the courage. I voted against it. I wrote on the form, Outside acceptable parameters. 4 words. The pen moved. I passed the form to my left. Outside acceptable parameters. That's not a formulation. That's compliance. I walked to the elevator. Press 3. Went to the bathroom at the end of the corridor. Looked at my hands for 11 minutes. And then reconstructed the memory of writing on a grant form while a 43-year-old woman on her 3rd attempted suicide was in the room describing her 3rd attempt. I had not paused. The session notes were clean. The clinical work was technically adequate. I signed the leave of absence paperwork that afternoon. I have not been back. Hannah calls 4 times a year. My daughter, 38, Boston, pediatric occupational therapist. 2 cats named Charlotte and Anne after the Bronte sisters. I know this because I tore the page from a session notepad and kept it in my wallet because I was afraid I would forget. When she calls, I prepare. I think about what I'm going to say. I anticipate her questions. I construct a framework for the conversation. I run something close to a pre-session assessment before I pick up. I'm aware that this is exactly what David meant. He was right. Completely, uncomplicatedly right. I listen to everyone except the people in the room with me. He said it at our kitchen table in 1997, the round one, tile top, that I still think about sometimes, in the voice of a man who had rehearsed this once too many times. I built an excellent formulation of why I was the way I was on a flight from Boston to London in 2004. By the time we landed, I had a complete and coherent account. It didn't change anything. That's the part nobody tells you about formulations, even the accurate ones. Knowing why you are the way you are is not the same thing as being different. There is a monastery 800 meters from this house. A resident monk named Lobsang, 81 years old, does not speak English. We have been meeting every other day for 14 months. He offers me the same thing every time, a flat stone near the base of the outer wall where the morning sun reaches first. He sits nearby. He doesn't explain. He doesn't interpret. He doesn't offer me a framework for my experience or name what he imagines I'm going through. He offers the stone and he sits, and after some time he goes back inside and I walk back down the 800 meters to the house. That's not a formulation. I keep trying to make it one. An 81-year-old monk who cannot speak my language has done more for whatever is actually wrong with me than 34 years of self-constructed clinical frameworks. I have significant feelings about this. The feelings are hard to categorize. Something that resists easy taxonomic placement. Something the DSM-5 TR does not have a code for. Out here, I built one. Chief complaint, unknown. The differential has 3 entries. Profound depression. The picture is complicated. Features present. Sleep improved atypically. Cognitive function clearer than in Cambridge. Psychotic break. I include it because the method requires honesty, and the 48-hour departure from Cambridge with 2 kilograms of DSM and no return date warrants investigation. And the third entry, the one I can't rule out, something that doesn't have a DSM code, a state that is not pathology, not absence of pathology, something the diagnostic framework I've spent my career constructing and defending simply doesn't have a category for. 14 months in, 2 of the 3 remain. I'm not narrowing fast enough. Or maybe, and this thought keeps returning, this is the one that comes at 5 in the morning when the light on Annapurna 2 turns the color with no name. Maybe the point was never to reach a diagnosis. The Leuchtturm notebook has 12 pages. In 34 years of academic work, I produced 214 peer-reviewed publications. 12 pages in 14 months. Almost all of them are questions, not rhetorical, actual. The most recent entry is from 2 weeks ago, 4 sentences. I've been trying to decide if they're true. I think I came here because I needed somewhere with no audience. The clinical work requires an audience, patient, resident, committee, field. The writing requires an audience. Even the formulations are addressed to someone. I don't know what I'm like without an audience, and I'm trying to find out. 4 sentences. No citations, no footnote, no peer reviewer. I think they might be true. Let me try one more time. Chief complaint. I don't know why I'm here. Revised. I think I know why I'm here. I think I came because I had built a very precise and carefully maintained professional self, and at some point the maintenance began to require more than I had. And rather than address this as I would have advised any patient, with help, with supervised support, with appropriate therapeutic intervention, I picked up a 2-kilogram diagnostic manual and flew to 3,475 meters and sat on a stone next to a monk who doesn't know my name and looked at a mountain that cannot be described. History of present illness, 14 months, ongoing. Sleep improved. Altitude acclimatization complete. Differential unresolved. Assessment. The differential is still open. The third entry, the one with no DSM code, keeps declining to be ruled out. Plan. Continue sitting on the stone. Continue making a face at the T. Continue writing questions in the notebook that do not yet have answers. 14 months. Altitude sickness resolved. Sleep improved. Differential unresolved. That's not a formulation either. Maybe that's the point.